Hey, it's Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, again here with another fun show. So what's on your sewing table today? Leave us a comment. We're streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting, YouTube and Facebook pages. We love to see where you're watching from and what you're sewing. So today's topic is really fun. We talk about this a lot over on my channel, not so much on Brother, and I think you're going to love it. So what is the one thing we all love to do? Pattern hack. So you get a pattern, but you're like, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. You change it up. You start with a base pattern. Well, Chris Tock is here. He's got some really cool inspirational things to show you. He's going to go and show you a great pattern hack. I think it's for a jacket. All right, pop in, say hi, say where you're from. Let's bring Chris Tock up to the stage. Chris, how are you?
Good. How are you? And good morning and afternoon, everyone. I know it's East Coast where you're at. I forgot to ask for... Oh, wait, I can see chat here somewhere. I want to see what people are saying.
Yeah, well, it looks like the chat just started rolling in. You've got
okay, I got it.
In here
it's under the
from
comments.
the Netherlands, Jane, Chris, everybody's rolling in. I love this so much.
I can see all these wonderful people piling in now. All right, anyway, welcome everyone. I'm Tock Custom. Thank you, Angela, for the lovely introduction. Angela's like the best of us, so...
That's not true. I feel like
quite...
the mother hen, right? The mother hen. These are like my favorite kids, except we're the same age.
Yeah, and you know, we're all a lot more irresponsible than you are. So, yeah. So, anyway, the introduction you gave was really funny because you're like, Chris is going to show us some sewing hacks some pattern making hacks, and maybe I will, but. I've done I don't know, maybe 10 of these live streams, and I always make like a pillow or a shirt or whatever. And I was like, pattern making and organizing is an overlooked thing. And I thought maybe there's a lot of people that do quilting or bag making or other things, and they don't need to read patterns that much. Maybe they just make their own stuff. So let's see. Oh, I've seen that pattern projection thing, and I want to set that up.
Oh.
But there's a thing where you can like put a projector on your ceiling and map it perfectly to your table, and it like shows an outline and you can just cut. It looks really cool. Anyway, good comment. But no, I have not done that.
Chris says, yeah, and it's not a Brother product, so it probably won't be on here today, but it is cool. I have not tried it myself either.
Yeah, forgive me. I'll do my best to be very brand specific. For example, the pattern, we're going to be working with is this very obviously generic pattern on how to make a bomber jacket. And just for the sake of knowing what this is going to produce, I actually made one in my size. So I'm going to put this on so you guys can see it. I don't know if anyone is a Marvel fan, but I made a Loki themed bomber jacket. Everything is hand embroidered, hand quilted. I did all the designs in PE Design 11, and a lot of the embroideries were actually built in because there's all the Disney Marvel crossover stuff with the Brother embroidery machines. So
that looks really, really cool. Really cool. Did you make the jacket?
I made everything. In fact, I lined this. This was the same fabric I used for my Dracula cloak. It's like a bridal fabric from what was formerly known as the local fabric store. I don't know if I can even say that out loud. The only problem with it is I bought a lady zipper, which I don't know if I knew that was a thing. So I have to zip it up with my left hand. But no one else knows that.
You'll just get used to it. Do you know why they do that? Do you know why they used to have that zipper?
Yeah, it was something about like other people's like servants used to dress them or something or whatever.
That's what I heard. That hasn't happened in my lifetime, so I could use the other zipper. But
someone told me when I was a kid it was so men and women could undress each other more easily, which is just a benefit to the other thing. But you know.
Okay, well, there's a whole different way to look at it. All right.
So always look on the bright side. Yes. So anyway, I did a demo of this. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention one more thing while we're kind of getting set up. So I've got a new contract with Brother to do educational content and tutorials and stuff. So I got a brand new like 4K camera, and I'm doing a full how to sew for beginners tutorial series, starting with square one all the way to like advanced and intermediate projects. I've done 5 videos so far. I've got approval from like 4 of them. So I'm going to start releasing them in June. So if anyone's brand new, you want to learn basic sewing and setup and all this stuff, all the like, I'm going to show how I built this table with all the drawers and shelves. Like, it's going to be a huge, I think 36 video 4K series. And as of right now, I don't think there's any other series of sewing that's filmed in 4K. So this could be kind of cool to kind of start from the beginning. And I'm a little bit better at sewing than I was when I first started making videos. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Is this going to be on your channel or Brother's channel?
This will be on, I think it'll be on both actually, but my YouTube channel, as it says on the bottom corner, is, if you just look up Tock Custom on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of sewing videos about me. And then I think our new rep, who has been awesome, by the way, is going to work with Melissa and some other higher ups to get them on Brother's website. And I think I don't know spoilers, but they may be relaunching some old things that Brother used to do in a new way. And there's going to be lots of new things for people to look forward to. So
that's awesome. Everybody will be looking forward to seeing that starting in June.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for letting me plug my nonsense. And now we can start talking about patterns and stuff. And I know this is Angela's favorite time for her to like paint her nails or drink tea or get caught up on emails or respond to YouTube comments or whatever while one of her guest presenters is doing their routine.
I did bring the nail polish today, Chris.
It was... And I felt like a jerk. I was like, maybe that was sexist to say, and then you actually did it. So now I feel validated that I didn't do something inappropriate. Yeah. My website is tockcustom.com. It's kind of old, but it's not bad. I'm gonna juice it up a little bit soon. So anyway, we're gonna do something interesting now. You don't have to tell me in chat or whatever if you don't want to. But hopefully some of you guys have bought patterns before. Maybe some of you have never bought a pattern like this, and there's thousands of them. They've been making them for longer than I've been alive. This one is how to make bomber jackets or hoodies. So anyway, when you get a pattern, you see a bunch of variations. This has 4 variations of 4 different styles. Oh, whoops, sorry. I have to remember that this camera has a static, what do you call it? Focal point. So we're going to make sure this is perfect. Okay. I think I have this pattern. Okay. So anyway, the first thing is, first you got to figure out, ooh, that's something cool. I want to make that, right? And the first thing you have to do is check the sizes. So this is really important. I've bought many patterns where I didn't look at the sizes. Some are small, medium, large. Some are 1XL, 2XL, 3XL. So make sure you get the correct size for yourself or your customer or whoever you're making stuff for, right? So that's the first important thing, is make sure you have the variation of the thing you want to make, and then check the size. And then when we look at the back, pretty much every brand of pattern is the same with this. Let's see how close can I, that's the closest I can get. And forgive me if you can't read this, but we're gonna make this work. I'm so happy how many people are watching right now. This is great. So anyway, there's a lot of information here, and there's only like a couple of things that you really need to know. So say I'm a men's large or unisex large with a 44-inch chest. So it says sizes large, and then it tells me if I have right here 45-inch wide fabric, which most are, I need 2 3/8. It says 2 3/8 yards of fabric. If I have 60-inch wide fabric, I need 1 5/8 yards of fabric for the outside of the jacket. Then it says the lining. I need 2 1/8 yard of fabric for the lining because that's a different fabric. If we're doing project A, which was, I believe, this one. This is the bomber jacket that I made, right? So hopefully so far this makes sense. So this tells me exactly how much fabric I need. I always buy extra because I usually make mistakes. How much I need for the lining, and then this thing right here. You know what? I'm gonna hold this and refocus. And we're gonna try to make this happen because I want you guys to read this. Here we go. I got this. We're gonna do it. All right. And I've got steady hands. So where it says notions here, so for A, B, C, and D, that's all the different things. We need one 24-inch separating zipper. We need 36 inches of rib knit fabric for the wristbands and the waistband and stuff like that. And then, let's see, for B, D, and A, 2 7-inch zippers. That's if you want to do zippered pockets. But anyway, that's all you need to know. So, oops. So if you're making a large, this is how much fabric you need for the jacket. This is how much you need for the lining. And these are the other things you'll need, like zippers and eyelets or buttons. That's where this stuff will show up. Okay, so everything else on here is either in a different language or doesn't matter as much as the things that we just covered. Okay, so hopefully, and again, forgive my amazing ability to keep things in focus here. Come on, there you go. So there's a lot of information on just the outside of a pattern, but hopefully this helps you to figure out what you want, how much fabric you need, and what other notions, or notions are basically, it's another word for like accessories or zippers or other things that you need to produce a pattern, right? So I almost want to ask, like, if anyone's never bought a pattern, say something in chat, because I'm wondering if everyone sitting here is like, oh my God, this is like sewing 101. I learned this 50 years ago or something. I don't know.
You know, Chris, I saw a couple of the comments rolling through, and you know, the funny part of sewing patterns is if you're a size 10 in a retail ready to wear, you are not a size 10 on some of the big four sewing patterns. Some independent designers are different. So what you pointed out there is really important, not only to find the size, but to double check that the size is really your size.
Right. And they're especially guilty of that with women's patterns, where like if you buy a size, 2 or something at Kohl's, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say, at the department store, it's actually bigger than it says it is because it wants to make you feel better about blah, 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 whatever. But patterns are usually very honest when it comes to their measurements because they want things to fit you. So that does matter. So if you're like, oh, I'm a size 6 at, the mall or whatever, trust the pattern. So let's see. Now we're on to phase 2. If we can put this in phases, that was phase 1, and now we're moving on to phase 2. So now we get what usually is the biggest turnoff for people who buy patterns, right? I'm going to zoom out. So when you first buy a pattern, you get this enormous sheet of what looks like, hieroglyphics, right? So it's like, oh, I just need to know all of this, and then I can make my, jacket or whatever. And that's not true at all. I did a video on this a long time ago, and people seem to really enjoy it. So we're going to just start on this corner right here. This is like pretty much everything you need to know is right here. I think we're in focus. I don't want to ruin it. I really gotta get my business together. Okay, here we go. So, first panel, we're gonna make style A. That's the front. That's the back, right? We want a cool jacket with pockets and little rib knit collar, cuffs, and waistband. It has these cool little tabs in the front too. And that's what it looks like on the back. Now, where is my... There's all these symbols and... Okay, grain line is important when it comes to stretch or things that have a print. I'll show you an example. I just made this pillow yesterday. The grain line of this printed pillow is up and down because if you do it sideways, then your pattern or print will be sideways and it'll look goofy. So anyway, marking your grain line is important. These little symbols are helpful for knowing buttons and stuff like that. They're all super obvious. The fold line one, I'm going to show you that while we're making the pattern. This is the most important thing on this piece of paper right here. It says seam allowance, 5/8 of an inch, included unless otherwise stated, but not printed on tissue. So for every single stitch we do, we're going to do a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, which I believe is that 1 centimeter if you're a metric person, close enough, something like that. Whatever. Everything else on here, in my opinion, like there's probably I might have read through this once, but I think something says like, pre-wash your fabric. That's a good idea. Everything else on here is just nonsense. It's just here to frighten you and scare you away from sewing so that the real sewing enthusiasts can take over. So don't be intimidated. All you need to know is, ooh, I want to make that, and that's my seam allowance, right? Now, the next important thing on the inside here is it shows you every panel of fabric, or I'm sorry, every pattern panel that's included in this whole envelope, right? And it shows you a little picture of what each thing is here with a description. So we're going to make jacket A right here. So I'm going to circle A, right? Now I've already put a dot in front of everything that falls under A. If it doesn't have a letter next to it, that means it's part of all 4 of these variations. And if it says A, then I need to put a dot there. So for example, the pocket A, I need. Front, I need. This is pocket B and C, so I don't need that. This is pocket B, I don't need that. Pocket D, I don't need. Back, I need. This says A, collar B, no. D, no. Sleeve, yes. Hopefully this makes sense. So I'm just looking for the things that fit into pattern A. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different pattern pieces I need to trace in order to produce this jacket, right? So that's it. I just need 8 things. And as I look at the reference, I can see, oh, number 1 is this little pocket. Number 2 is the front panel. That's this thing. Number 6 is the back panel. That's this thing. Okay. So does that all make sense so far? I think this is good, right? And then everything over here, these are like, I'm not a huge fan of this stuff. This is instructions on how to properly lay your fabric down and cut your patterns out the most efficiently. I can usually do more efficient jobs than this. So this is just like a lot of like, ooh, this is spooky. Look how scary this is. What if I get it wrong or whatever? But it shows you how to cut out the panels for your jacket and how to cut out the panels for your lining. So anyway, I'm going to zoom out. Oops, wrong zoom out. Here we go. So hopefully so far we're all on the same page, right? Does that make sense? So all you need to know is that's what I want to make. That's my seam allowance. Oh, wait, there it is. Seam allowance. Here's my patterns. Everything else is crazy. Okay. And then flipping this over. I suppose this is helpful here. These are your codes for what each color or texture means for different types of fabric. So right side of the fabric, wrong side of the fabric, that's important. Interfacing, that's important. Lining, that's important. So if it's got this little squiggly design, that means that's lining fabric or contrast fabric, whatever. And then after that, we're right on to, where is it? Step 1, right? And we're not actually going to do the sewing. I just want to show how this works. So after you understand all that and you make your pattern, then we're on to step 1. Okay, we're not even going to do step 1, but then it gets into telling you how to produce your garment from scratch. And we're not even going to do that. So anyway, let us zoom all the way, not all the way up. So I started my pattern already. Let me clear some space. Actually, hold on. I'm talking a lot right now, and I think it's time for a sip of coffee. And I like reading chat because it makes me happy. Hello from Minnesota.
Hey, Chris, we got a couple questions for you. Do you prefer, and I'm asking this as well because somebody mentioned it, and I thought, you know what, that's a good question. When you were showing like the fabric layout on the pattern, how it tells you which way to put your pieces. Sometimes they'll have one pattern facing this way, one pattern facing this way. I tend to cut all my garments going the same direction in case the fabric varies. Right. What about you? What's your favorite? I do the same
exact thing. Like so Angela and I, when we talk about this on every single stream we do, we're big fans of making custom jeans. So I'm wearing my floral print, I don't know, quilters jeans or whatever, but they have a zipper and pockets and back pockets and my logo and all that stuff. So when I cut out, like if you follow their recommendation of like, oh, you can cut this panel of pants this way, but then the backside upside down, it doesn't work that way unless you're using just like solid blue denim, which that's boring, right?
But even then, if there's a little sheen, I mean, of course, you can't see your front and your backside at the same time. But if you turn to the side,
but if you're standing on the side, you would see like, oh, that's weird. The nap of the fabric goes this way, but then the light bounces off it differently the other way. So that's why I always say, like, buy an extra yard of fabric. I think I make at least one mistake every time I make something. At least.
Only one? I got a whole list.
Right. I cut myself at least one time. I stab myself with a pin, and I make at least one mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, now I go put on deodorant, and then I need to,
Well, fortunately, we're not in the room with you, so don't worry about the deodorant today. So I see a lot. I'd love to see in the comments while Chris keeps moving on, but I'd love to see, do you cut your patterns opposite or do you follow going the same direction? I would just know. I mean, I'm curious because it does make a difference on, especially like a corduroy or something that has a nap or something that has a print. If I'm doing something as a pattern, like just to test the fit, then I don't care, obviously. But it's good to keep in mind, and I agree with Chris, buy a little extra fabric, because if the pattern tells you to cut it this way, you're not going to have enough fabric to cut it this way.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I understand the question. Do I say that one more time? It was, do I cut all the same patterns the same direction?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess in that case, no, because of the type of pattern making material I use, because it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm not understanding, but
no, you got it, because you said if you cut your jeans going this way, the pattern's going this way, and then you cut your other leg going this way.
Okay, I'm sorry. The fabric, yes, I do. I thought you were. There's two different things we're cutting. We're cutting the pattern out, and then we're cutting the fabric out with the pattern.
Yep.
So yes, I do cut out all my fabric in the same direction always. Even if even in some cases where I probably shouldn't, like the waistband, sometimes it wants me to cut it out with a certain grain line, but I don't want it to stretch a certain way. So, and that's just like nuances you pick up as you start sewing. Like my first 10 pairs of jeans were terrible. And I forgot to pre-wash them and they shrank. And then it looked like, I was wearing little kids' jeans to work and people were like, what are you doing? You can't wear pants that tight. You're going to get arrested.
Well,
So
that's
you know,
floods are in style again. So if you're
right.
wearing pants that are too short, you're okay, Chris.
Yeah, if I'm wearing high-watered Steve Urkel pants or something, people will know. Maybe I just dated myself on the television I watched in the 80s. But yeah, the whole point is just like, I don't know. If you make something that you really want to make, don't give up. Make it again. Make 3 of them. Make 10 of them. I was determined to make jeans, and should I do this to you guys right now? Should I show you my stash? This is most of. There's a lot more in. Okay, hold on. Here's part of my jean stash. Every single one of these is. Every time I make a pair of jeans, I get an extra belt loop.
Oh my goodness.
And I put my extra belt loop in the drawer. There's a whole other half of these, but this is maybe 110 or so belt loops. So it's like, and look at all the different fabrics. Like this was like rainbow unicorns, and this is the pair of pants I'm wearing right now. See? How about that?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So anyway, I just love the idea that, well, I really dislike how boring men's fashion is, but it gives me an opportunity to really have fun with men's fashion. So anyway, that's one of my little, mementos that, yeah, I made a lot of jeans and I'm not going to stop because I really enjoy it. All right, let's talk about once you've read through all of your business. Man, this new camera thing I'm really happy about this, actually. Okay. So we need 2 things for this. I'm going to cover something up here, but okay. There's a product called, here it is, called Easy Pattern. It used to be called Tracing Cloths, but now it's called Easy Pattern. I use this for every single pattern. I'm sure some of you guys watching this are like, oh my God, that's the same stuff I use. And there's a reason, because it's the best. So the reason it's the best is it is I'm so close. There we go. This stuff is a non-stretchy, semi-transparent material. So it doesn't stretch, it doesn't warp. You can iron it. There's no heat threshold. So you can iron this, you can fold it in half, you can store it in envelopes. It's amazing. It's the best for everything. So anyway, when I'm making a pattern, all I have to do is lay this on my crafting table. And this is all, if anyone can refold their pattern tissue properly, you deserve an award, because I don't think I've ever done it once successfully. Here we go. So first I'm going to put this on the floor. You got a nice, clean workspace here. All right. Also, someone told me you can dry iron this tissue paper flat, but I'm always nervous that I'm going to destroy it, so I don't think I've ever actually tried. All right, so I've got this. When you open a pattern, you get a whole bunch of this stuff. It's really irritating, right? But it's super important. I don't want to just talk crap, because that's not fair, because this stuff has helped me make like hundreds of different projects. So I need, going back to page 1, this is what I need right here. Okay. So sometimes I'll even write this down on like a scrap piece of paper or something. So I need pattern 1, 2, 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14, right? These are the things I need to cut out. Okay? Think that makes sense? And usually there's a few different pieces of this tissue paper within the envelope. Here, let's get a nice wide shot. Beep, 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 beep. In fact, oh, there's a cat laying on my... Kitty, get up. I just adopted 2 new kittens, and they often sneak attack all the things that I'm trying to do. So I put down my pattern, and of course the cat wants to lay on it. Hi, Kitty. Where's Kitty?
Oh, Chris, I hate to inform you of this, but hopefully your cat is not like my cat. Well, my cat's dead now, but when my cat for 29 years, if I had tissue paper, that cat would be over here like this, and that would be in his mouth, and it would be shredded, which is why when I started designing patterns, I use 20-pound weight paper because the cat couldn't eat it. So good luck on that. Good luck.
Well, it's fun to have the company, but when I'm like filming, it can be a little irritating where I'm like in the middle of a shot, and then my cat will jump up into the thread harness of my 10 needle machine and get tangled, and then it starts to freak out.
Perfect.
And then I gotta redo my whole take on that shoot. Kitty. All right. I'm gonna have to put you down. This is Thor. He's the god of thunder. And I really love him very much. And now you're famous for being on the internet. Okay. What are we doing? Not cat-related stuff? All right, here we go. Here we go. Should try a projector. Well, Danny, there's something else I do that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about, but I make my own patterns on the computer, and then I've got a big like architectural plotter printer, and I just print them out. Like, you know that thing where you used to print out patterns on like letter-sized paper and tape them all together in a big grid and then cut them out? Now I can just cut, or I can just print out huge rolls and do it that way. I know it's super cheating, but I don't care. Uh-oh, I think my cat stole my pen. Okay. So here's my cheat sheet. I've already cut out pattern number 1 and 2 and 13. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to trace. In fact, okay, because time is a thing and making patterns is probably like crazy boring, I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to find one shape. We're going to trace it, and then I'm going to show you how I cut it out and how I store it. That'll be perfect. So let's see if I can fit the sleeve pattern. So number 10 here is the sleeve pattern. Yeah, that taping thing, oh man, that is the worst method of downloading and printing and preparing patterns that exists in history. I can't think of a worse way of producing a pattern than that old method. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this have tried that or done it and questioned their love of sewing to the point where they were like, is this really what I want to do with my life? Is tape paper together? And anyway, I think you get the idea. So, of course, my cat just put some nice new holes in my pattern fabric here, but I don't care because I love my cat and it's not going to matter. All right, now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to efficiently cover pattern number 10. And once I put pressure on this, you'll be able to see through it. There we go. So I'm putting this right in the corner. And now I'm going to grab my pattern weights. A friend of mine made me some pattern weights that look like donuts. A lot of people that watch my videos think I'm actually putting food on my patterns, but it's just a bunch of metal washers with clay on it. So please don't assume that those are real donuts. All right. Now, actually, probably the biggest question I get when it comes to patterns, oh my God, my cat is going to get in a lot of trouble. No treats for an hour. The biggest question I get about making patterns is, why would you spend the time tracing a pattern onto this tracing cloth fabric? Why don't you just cut it out of the tissue? And there's a very easy reason for that, or a very obvious reason, to me at least, is every pattern comes, and I know some of you guys in chat are probably saying it to yourselves out loud right now. Every single pattern comes with multiple sizes, right? So right here, you can see there are 3 different, oops, here we go. There we go, we got it, we can do it, we can do it. Every single pattern comes with multiple sizes. So the outside line is large, the middle one is medium, the inside is small. If I cut this out on the small line, then I can't make a large pattern later. So with this, I can make 3 different patterns, and then I can throw the whole thing away. Not that I would do that. But anyway, in this case, we are making a small, because this is a commission jacket for my neighbor who wants a Scarlet Witch themed jacket, because she's a big Marvel fan too. So I'm going to tell you what, I'm just going to trace out. My cats are stalking me right now. It's making me nervous. So all I'm doing with a just cheap washable marker, I don't like to use Sharpies because they bleed too much. These bleed too, but at least you can wash them out of stuff. So all I'm doing is I'm just tracing this by hand. You don't need a ruler for the most part because it's pretty straightforward. Hi, Kitty. What do you think you're doing? Mr. Kitty. Okay. And then here's my sleeve. I'm not marking any of the notches or other notion placements or anything like that yet. I always do that last. So we're almost done. So we're doing the small sleeve of the pattern A bomber jacket. In fact, I think all the different variations use the same pattern for the sleeve. So this is pattern 10. I always mark the number of the pattern, the size, small, and then I write, not that I need to know this because I know it's sleeve A. I need to cut 2 that are mirrored, and then I need to cut 2 lining. What else am I forgetting? I'm not doing any contrast with this. So anyway, that's everything I need. And then there's these little notches that look like triangles. There's a single, here's a double. This one is the top of the sleeve. This is really important for matching up with the center seam of your shoulder seam. I think I'm saying that correctly. Here's a notch down here, then there should be one on the bottom. Okay, that's it. I just did a whole pattern piece right there. Usually making patterns takes me about maybe an hour, sometimes less, depending on whatever it is, which is a really good investment, especially if you're planning on making more than one. So I just did pattern 10. I'm putting a dot next to it on my list here. So now I know I don't need to do those. So I just have 4 more pieces to make. I'm not going to do those on camera because, you know, this is a demonstration. You guys don't need to see all that. And I'm sure you don't even really care. But yeah, you guys have done plenty of this stuff. Chris Mannion said, good question, but what's the question? When does he change the length of the sleeve? Before he traces out? Oh, I usually do it after. I usually do it after, and there's, okay, some of you guys are probably going to be upset about my take of this, but let's get into it. Let's start a fight about patterns right now. So there's this double line right here, right? And it says lengthen or shorten here. And what it wants you to do is transfer that to your pattern, and then it wants you to cut the pattern and then open it and tape it together, or shorten it and tape it together. I never do any of that. All I do is just I cut the sleeve longer. Like, I'm really tall, so I just take this line and I just add like an inch or two, and then I cut it along the same line that it has there. That's my spin on lengthening or shortening patterns. I don't know if that answers your question. It's the lazier and easier and faster way of doing it, and I've never had a problem with any customer or with myself. The only time I could see it maybe being a concern is if you're making like a fitted sport coat or a suit. Oh yeah, the grain line. Lois, thank you for reminding me. Sorry, you got me all twisted around here thinking about very controversial pattern making techniques. One of these, okay, here it is. Oh my God, my cats just knocked over a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, right here, this is very important. I'm glad you mentioned this, Lois. Every pattern piece has a long line with an arrow, and it says grain line. I always transfer this, even though most of the time you can figure it out. But I just trace that. Now I know when I lay my fabric down, and I can actually show a test of this, I know that this is going to be parallel with the selvage of the fabric. And that's going to ensure that if I have a print, that the print shows up the correct way, that it stretches around my sleeve the correct way if I'm doing something with knits, like a t-shirt or something like that. Hold on, my cat is eating something they shouldn't be. Katie, you are so naughty today. Eventually I want to build a big like hamster tube system through my house so my cats can just run all over and I don't have to worry about them. Okay, so we explained all right, now we're moving on to phase 4, which is cutting out pattern. I don't know, whatever. Make up your own phases, but we're going to take all the pattern weights off, and I'm going to remove the newspaper. That hopefully doesn't get destroyed if I put it on the floor. And then I'm just clearing space, and I'm going to put a couple of weights down just so this doesn't shift or move. I also probably should have pre-ironed this, but whatever, it's going to be fine. Okay, anyway, you can cut this out with scissors, or I think it's like maybe 9 times faster to cut this out with a rotary cutter. So I usually try to cut like right on the line, if not a little on the outside, which is probably bad because then when I transfer this to fabric, I cut on the outside of that line, and then I have to like adapt my seam allowance to be a little bit smaller. I just got this flow, you know? You guys got your own little flow in your workshop that just makes sense. That makes sense to me. But I'd rather cut it to actual size and then cut it a little bit bigger. You never want clothes to be too small, because you can always take in some seams. If you make it too small, you might as well remake it. Okay. Now I've got other pattern pieces on this fabric, so I'm not going to throw this away. Also, I always end up with scrap, and you can always use scrap pattern making fabric. Also, it's worth mentioning you can use a roll of recycled paper or newspaper or I don't know, any random paper. This stuff just stores and reuses super well, which is why I love this stuff. All right, so there we go. We have a legitimate pattern piece that I can transfer onto fabric. In fact, will this fit on here? Maybe, probably not. So let's say I'm going to put this fabric down, which I have very little left, and I don't think it'll fit. I would lay my fabric down this way. The selvage is here. So I know the grain line of this fabric goes this way. So I'd lay my, oh, it does fit, my pattern right here. Normally this would be folded in half so I could cut out 2 mirrored copies of this sleeve. But my grain line, in fact, I can even use this. Look at this. There's a perfect line in the fabric, matches up with the grain line. Booyah. Then I take that. I don't even use tailor's chalk anymore. I just put pattern weights down and I just cut this out with a rotary cutter the same way I just did. So that is how I read a pattern, I pick a pattern, I determine what style I want, the size I want, I cut out all my pattern pieces, and then I start to transfer it. And I've got, this is my upstairs bin of patterns. I thought this would be kind of funny to show. I've got a lot of patterns. Look at this. Vogue pants, style A, 32-inch waist. Let's see what we got here. So this is what's really cool about this material. Oh wait, also, I write the date on every envelope. So I made this pattern over 10 years ago. Is that embarrassing or should I be proud of that? But in, what is that, August of 2014, I was making patterns. That's like right when I first started sewing. So let's move this. So I keep all this stuff, right, in here. And I know it's like, oh, how bad does that look? It's all crumpled and folded out. But all I have to do is just open this, and lay it out, and iron it, and it will be perfectly flat. It doesn't stretch. It doesn't warp. It doesn't tear. I mean, unless you try to tear it. But I can take an 11-year-old pattern and still make really clean jeans with a 32-inch waistband. And then someone asked something about lengthening or shortening. I know in pants you're supposed to do it like here or something, but I always just add however much length I need at the bottom of my pants there. So we got that. And again, I know these are all wrinkled. I didn't prepare my iron, but you just iron this flat, and then when you're done, you just fold it all back up. Doesn't really matter how neat it looks. You grab it, you stuff it in an envelope, and then you make sure you label it because that's a problem. And then you put it in a giant plastic bin with your dozens of other crazy patterns that you've developed over the years. And then bam, perfect. You've got, a whole new system for making and preserving patterns. Now, I know Angela's like probably stunned by the amount of information that we just covered, but
first of all, I like your organizing in the envelopes like that because mine all hangs on the wall. All my patterns hang on the wall. And then when I run out of room or I think, okay, I don't want to use that pattern anymore, I was just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. And I like those envelopes. I have a whole case of them. That's a perfect way to keep them.
Right. And someone asked one more time, what is this stuff called? It's called tracing cloths. I hope I'm saying that with
Yeah,
enough.
I just do an internet search. There's quite a few different ones that come up. So just do an internet search. You'll see exactly the one that he showed you.
Some are
And
called easy patterns, or just look up like pattern making material or something. You'll find it. It's not that hard to find. And just in case anyone joined during, I put this on at the beginning. So the pattern I'm making is for a bomber jacket. And this is my size bomber jacket. So I made a Loki themed bomber jacket with lining. Everything is sewn by hand from scratch. All the embroideries are done at home. And any of the text is done on my brother's scan and cut. So everything on this is handmade. I suppose I didn't make the zipper itself, but everything is handmade. So when I wear this outside and people are like, oh my God, that's such a cool jacket, I can be like, thank you. I made this.
I was just looking at your sleeve. Did we do?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Hold on. Zoom in on it again. So the last Brother Live I did.
Yeah.
We did a demonstration on how I did this texture of sleeve. Can I get this on here? So this is all quilted fabric. This isn't like one piece of fabric. I quilted every single piece and added this rope and I added this trim. So I was practicing this as I was making this jacket, and then I got some cool rib knit fabric and whatever. So I think I even put some of that material here. That's the quilted stuff too. I don't know what RTW means, but I do keep seeing people saying it in chat, and I don't know what that means.
It means ready to wear, Kathy. Kathy, ready to wear. Like you go to the store and you buy
like
something that's already ready made. RTW.
I think all the people I talk to says that looks store-bought or something like that. But anyway, so yeah, again, the pattern that we just demonstrated, or how I make it, is to make that type of jacket. Also, you can do, I mean, there's countless dresses and tote bags and all my, oh wait, like this messenger bag. I made this, I don't know, a few years ago, but I made the pattern for it like 12 years ago. There it goes. But this is just, I got a pattern to make a messenger bag, and I did this cool, Diablo themed messenger bag. And it's got pockets and embroideries and magnets and whatever. So you can make like anything. Just go get a pattern or download it on one of those websites where people share patterns. I'm being over careful because I don't know. I don't know what brands I can say and what brands I can't. So I just.
You're pretty much stuck with Brother because you're on the Brother Show. So anything else?
Like sewing machine brand wise, I'm fine with that. I love my Brother machines. Oh, and for anyone who's watching, like, oh, what are all the machines? This is the Brother 10 needle PR 1055X. This is the Brother Stellar XJ1. This is the Airflow 3000 Serger. This is the ST150 HDH. I have two of these because I love them so much. And then this is the new Brother SE700 hybrid machine that I'm doing my whole new YouTube series in 4K with. So, and then downstairs I got my vinyl cutters and a whole bunch of other Brother machines and the PR1X that I do for embroidering towels. And my house is very very pro Brother. So.
That's a good thing.
But no, like when I say brand names, I'm like, can I say that fast food chain restaurant, or do I just have to say, you got the idea?
All right. Any last minute questions for Chris? This was a great tutorial. There's a lot of people here that said they've not used patterns before. Someone said, does it tell you on the pattern how many to cut? Yes. So if you, it'll say cut to fabric for the sleeve, cut to lining. If you have lining, it'll say that on there. It says it right on there.
Yeah, it says it right on the tissue paper. It'll say cut 2 for the outside, cut 2 for the lining. Sometimes it'll say cut 1 for the interfacing if it's something that needs interfacing. But everything is right there. The biggest hang up, sorry, I'm not trying to drag this out. The biggest hang up I get is some of the illustrations on certain patterns are crazy, where you're like,
What is that?
where you're looking at this and you're like, what is this telling me to do? Like, is that like a Pope hat, or like, what does this mean? And this just takes practice. This is like, okay, let's see. I'm making a hood, and then I'm top stitching it, and then I'm sewing the hood to where the shoulder seams meet the back panel. So this is probably like the hardest part, or like, I hate doing sleeves this way. I always do it the easy dress shirt way. So I guess it's worth mentioning, like, you don't have to do things the way every pattern says or the way everyone tells you. You'll figure it out if you're having fun sewing. So
yeah, that'll be the word for the day. Figure outable. It's
figure outable. Yes.
Definitely. Chris, this has been a great tutorial. We love your cats, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Just let me know how that tissue paper works out with your cat.
Oh, they've been having a lot of fun. I'm glad this wasn't worse. They could have knocked a lot of gardening supplies over, which would have made a mess.
My cat used to lay on my machine over the top, so I'm sewing underneath of him, and he's getting cat hair on all my stuff, and he's just watching. Never touched a needle, never bothered it, but I think I don't know if he liked the vibration of the machine or the temperature or what, but he'd sit there all the time. So I'm just waiting for it on your next live.
Well, hopefully they get smarter as they get older, right?
They don't.
They get more mischievous, but no, they're great companions, and I love them, and we're very happy. So
I love kitty cats. All right, any last minute questions for Chris? It looks like everybody said thank you. Patty says last time you showed the messenger bag, she went out and found a pattern, but she hasn't made it yet, so it's on the list.
Right. And messenger bags are great because they don't have to fit. I did it. Oh man, anyway, I will push my YouTube channel one more time. I'm doing a whole fresh series for beginners, all the way from like, I've never sewn on a machine, all the way to I want to make a suit, or I want to make a custom bag, or whatever. So I have to contractually make, I think, 32 videos this year, and I've already made 6.
Well, we're going to look forward to those. So let us know when they start.
I think they're going to start like the first week of June. So follow or sub or whatever to my YouTube channel, Tock Custom. And I won't ask you this during a live broadcast, Angela, but I would love to travel across Lake Michigan to visit you and do a shoot in your studio or something like that, if you'd be willing to do a collaborative tutorial that I think we could.
You're just straight across the lake right now. Although if you saw my studio right now, you'd say, I don't think so. This is the only clean spot. So Chris, this is what I'm working on. My nieces turned 7 this weekend.
Aww.
So all they wanted was sparkles and slime. And my sister said if I give them glitter, sparkles, or slime, that she's unsistering me. So guess what I did? I went and found the best sparkly workout fabric I can, and I'm making little dresses. That's what you're missing over here. So that'd be fun. See you in my studio one of these days.
Yeah, that would be super cool. And I get to see your whole fishing setup and all the crazy things that you guys get up to. So anyway, my YouTube channel is Tock Custom.
I have your website scrolling below. You see that down there, Chris?
Oh yeah. Angela put it on the blue ticker tape. It's like the stock market thing. Everyone ignores that by default because they see it on the news. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Angela, it's always a pleasure. I'm glad I was actually like prepared for this one. You can always tell when I'm like just winging it, and I'm like, I don't know, like I just have a whole attitude. But today I felt good. This
was a good cup of coffee. I saw that your cat took a sip out of there too, so be warned.
Is that? Oh my God, Angela just told on you. Xena and Thor.
I love it.
They're doing good.
All right, everyone. Until next time, Chris has been a great tutorial. I will see you all on Tuesday on Brother Tuesday. Kathy Gandy's coming on talking about the Avenir, so you don't want to miss it. In the meantime, pop on over to brothersews.com. You can subscribe to their newsletter. Go to angelawolf.com. You can sign up for a newsletter and also see the live schedule, and go over to Tock Custom, not Chris Tock, tockcustom.com. You'll find a link to his YouTube channel and all of those things. This is super fun. I can't wait to see what you do next, Chris.
Yeah, thanks a ton. Hopefully we get to hang out this summer. Otherwise, everyone, happy sewing and enjoy your summer. And thank you again for having me.
Bye, everyone.